Okay, Emmy nuts, we are just a couple of days away from the ceremony. So who's going to win? I've called to the rescue these two great Oscarologists. We have Pete Hammond from Deadline Hollywood and Jazz Tankay from Variety. And Jazz, I'm Tom O'Neill of Gold Derby, calling on you, Jazz, to tell us what did we learn last weekend at those three Creative Arts Emmys in which they gave out 98 categories. What did we learn there that might influence what your predictions are for Sunday?
First of all, I'm just going to say, Tom, thank you for having me. Pete, pleasure to be here with you. It's exhausting covering the Creative Arts Emmys. I was there for all three events. What did we learn? Queen's Gambit took, sweeping with 9 wins. I think winning in casting 2 has put it as a strong contender. I do not know, Emmy voters, what happened with Mare of Easttown. I think we all thought Mare of Easttown would probably get something, and it was a no-show. The Mandalorian they loved, and WandaVision, but yeah, I think the Queen's Gambit is once again a strong player. I think the love for Pose in hair and makeup has probably
yes.
I'm sure we'll get into that, but I think that also put MJ Rodriguez with maybe a chance at surprising on Sunday, and RuPaul's Drag Race winning those awards and getting Untucked was a surprise, and I think that has solidified it winning reality competition program. So that's it in a nutshell.
So Pete, this sweep by Gambit, does that influence you in any way as a pundit to possibly to give up? Almost all pundits had Kate Winslet winning Best Limited Series Actress, but Anya Taylor-Joy might be a lot stronger than we think. I actually have Cynthia Erivo. I can give you that separate logic of why I'm doing that. But did the underperformance of Mare of Easttown change your view on what's going to happen in the actress category?
Okay, well, no, not with the actors necessarily, because none of what happened at the Creative Arts is an indicator of where the actors branch is in terms of Mare of Easttown versus Queen's Gambit. All we had were guest actors. They were not, these limited series were not players there. So that doesn't bother me. It's Netflix's overall sweep. There's no way HBO can even come close to making that up if they win every category that they're in opposite Netflix at the primetime Emmys. It's over. Netflix is the new king. Let's crown them. And, the only big surprises that may come is if somehow Mare of Easttown can pull out the acting awards where they divide it up, which is what I predicted all along. I'm sticking with Evan Peters. I'm sticking with Julianne Nicholson. I did switch in putting up my predictions on Deadline this week and I always thought it was a toss-up, from Kate Winslet to Anya Taylor-Joy. It just indicates to me that there is such strength in the Academy that, there probably will be an acting thing for her. But it may not be. I still think it's a question mark as to how the acting races will go. I think there's no question that Queen's Gambit is headed towards the limited series win, meaning Netflix with that and The Crown, which I anticipate will be winning their first major categories ever at the Emmy. And so I think that's what's happening there. I must have gone out and done what is the smart people do at the Emmys: sign up all those branches, sign up members, get them into the Academy to vote. And that's how you do it. Get out the vote. And it appears to me that for the first time, we saw at Creative Arts that is working, that strategy may be working. So many people in this town now work for Netflix. That can make a difference, even in a 20,000 voter entity like the television.
But there was this suspicion before that there was this anti-Netflix jealousy in the industry, and that's why it had never won a Best Series award. What Pete's referring to is it's never won Best Comedy Series, Drama Series, or Limited Series, the big trio. Now it looks likely, inevitable probably, to win Best Limited Series. I think the first thing I thought of when I saw the sweep by Gambit was, wow, that Anya Taylor-Joy is really much stronger than we thought, of course. But there's this, I think there's this, I think Cynthia Erivo is in that kind of Jessica Chastain kind of place where there are these stars where they're just desperate to give them an award. And remember when she did the Harriet Tubman movie, she got nominated when I don't think it showed up anywhere else at the Oscars. I think there's so much profound love for her, and it is a vocal performance. They love all that. And I think that what we're seeing now, this is the current count of Gold Derby among the 30-some experts we have. It was just a few days ago that Kate Winslet was almost had like 80% of the votes among the experts. Now Kate Winslet has 15. Anya Taylor-Joy has jumped up to 9. And this will change, of course, before the weekend. And Michaela Cole at 5. And I'm down in the bottom slot with 1 vote for Cynthia Erivo, because I think her performance was outstanding, and I think this vote can split. That's where I'm going out on a limb.
Yeah, well, I think, the way all the guilds went and the way all the precursor awards went with Queen's Gambit, having that incredible run, never losing anywhere, is passed on to the Television Academy. It's the cherry on the cake right now. And I think that's going to happen. And probably Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't know that Cynthia Erivo, with limited nominations for that, is going to pull that out. I'm just not convinced of that at all. And I'm wondering how Jennifer Hudson's appearance in that role at the same time the voting was just starting will have an effect positively or negatively on Cynthia Erivo. I don't know. It might have brought more attention. You may be right, Tom. That's a way, that brings attention to Aretha, and, they may feel, well, we've got our own here in television. Let's give it to her. Hard to say, because like I said, the actors' results here don't tell us anything yet. We haven't seen what the actors' branch is going to really do.
It used to be at the Emmys back in the days when juries decided winners. It almost seemed as if the creative arts had nothing to do with who ended up winning at the main ceremony. You would see a lot of us fellow journalists in the press room run out, filing their stories, and it's going to be a big sweep by Battlestar Galactica or whatever, which would win the Tech Awards or something. And then you would say, no, these are separate juries. This is a different thing. But we know several years ago they changed everything to a popular vote. And then we saw last year something happened that had never happened in the history of television. One show sweeping every category on the comedy side, Schitt's Creek. We just saw one show sweeping all the limited series categories at the Creative Arts. We're going to see The Crown and Ted Lasso kind of just sweep so many of those top categories. And that's, I think, and you would agree, that's because of the new voting, a popular vote. It doesn't mean that everyone's voting for acting, but it does mean that all 2,000 plus members of the branch are voting, where in the past it would be a much smaller jury who would actually watch this stuff.
Yeah, it's lazy voting. Let's call it. It's very lazy voting.
I do wonder though if Kate Winslet's star power is strong enough to have her maintain and win, because she was everywhere. She, I agree with you, Pete. Like, I'm not changing Evan Peters. And I think if Evan wins, I think Kate wins. That's my logic in that. I think they'll see her name and they'll do that. Even if they picked Queen's Gambit everywhere else, I think they'll see Kate.
Yeah, let's look at that category early on, if that's the way they're going to present it this year, and see if Thomas Brody Sangster can pull it out, and if Moses Ingram can pull it out. And if you see either one of them win, it's across the board for Queen's Gambit, no question. But I do think the actors are going to hopefully look at it and not that lazy vote where they just check off something that they happen to have seen, and follow the lemmings here, which would be too bad.
What was there anything at the Creative Arts that convinced you, aside from the limited series races, Pete, that convinced you to change any predictions for this Sunday?
That was the main thing. Ted Lasso, I think, is going to win. Look, I voted in the Emmys. I voted not for Ted Lasso, but for Hacks, wherever I could. I'm only in the writers branch and in the all the programs that you can vote for. So I don't get to vote for the actors. That's not the way the Emmys work. But no, I saw again lazy voting. RuPaul's won the last few years. This is. Queer Eye, they tend to go in things. I'm sure John Oliver will win again. I mean, it's just the same old thing. I didn't see any kind of fresh thing coming out of that. I'm hoping that there is. There was a lot of campaigning going on and a lot of people pouring stuff into this to get the same results we get year after year, at least in these kind of categories. Mandalorian, I don't expect that to win drama series, but it's certainly going to, do well.
Jazz, as a fellow awards nerd, you may know this statistic, but it's one of something that few people know other than those of us who do this for a living. But there actually is a formula that we believe is true, that if a show wins the casting award at the Creative Arts, it's essential to almost always win that if you're going to win Best Series. And then Riley Chow, who's one of our contributing editors, who's this stats walking computer, says, well, you need not only to win casting, but you need to win either the editing award for picture editing and or sound editing. If you win both, you're a lock. Well, Lasso won casting, it won picture editing, it lost sound editing, but it won sound mixing. So in a way, it kind of made up for that one precursor thing. So let's stick with comedy for a moment here. Do you just see a Ted Lasso sweep happening?
I think Ted Lasso will sweep. I do wonder how much, momentum Hacks gained. But I feel like Ted Lasso dropping its second season at the height of this was a great way of campaigning, so to speak. And I think Ted Lasso winning in casting is your sign that, and winning in sound, I think that's pretty much gonna take that for sure.
Who's your pick to win supporting actor in comedy? That is one of the closest races ever.
Let me pull my predictions up.
It used to be that they liked the silly actors, like Sean Hayes and
I think Brett Goldstein.
Yeah, Brett. That's why it's a Ted Lasso. I have Brett.
Yeah.
Brett, Bowen, and then Keenan.
But there are 3 Ted Lasso nominees in this category.
Four.
Oh, 4. You're right. So we've got Nick Mohammed. Jeremy Swift gives the silliest performance, and normally that in the supporting categories they want comedy, real comedy, and that's my problem with the Brett Goldstein prediction. I've had him at various times out front to win Brett Goldstein, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy Swift pulled it off. And then we also have Brendan Hunt.
Tom, what about Keenan? Look at if we are looking at the Creative Arts for indications of strength, 7 Emmys over the weekend for Saturday Night Live. Those guest actor Emmys indicate they're watching Saturday Night Live in a big way. A split in Ted Lasso, which is definitely what you're aiming at here by picking another actor. A split will benefit Keenan, who's also nominated for comedy lead actor too. He's very visible. He's been out there on the show 18 years, this whole thing. There could be something happening there. And certainly the Saturday Night Live love that the Academy continues to get is possible to carry that out for him.
I agree with all that, but I'm skeptical of the pattern repeating because the Academy moves those Saturday Night Live people back and forth between supporting and guest, of course. And I think it does very well in guest, but I'm not so convinced it does well in.
Well, tell that to Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. What say you, Jazz, about comedy supporting actor?
I think Brett gets that, and I think he's the strongest one. If you think of from all the Ted Lasso, cast as strong as they were, if you think, when you say his name, you remember the roasting he did, I think, in episode 7, and that is the strong. I think he gets it. I think, yeah. I'm thinking about what Pete just said about Saturday Night Live and thinking I'm probably going to hate myself on Sunday and not agreeing with you, but for Keenan here. But
well, I've had Keenan, I've had Brett up at various times. Now I think I may even have Bowen Yang here. This is he is like the cool cats pick, right?
I think they're going to embrace Ted Lasso, though. I think they're going to embrace it.
Yeah, like they did Schitt's Creek, right?
Yeah, like Annie Murphy didn't deserve an Emmy, but she got carried along with the Swedes last year. I'm sorry, Annie, if you're watching this.
Lazy Voting. Check out
Lazy Voting. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the title of this episode, The Lazy Voting.
But it would not be lazy voting, I would argue, if Hannah Waddingham wins, as almost every expert predicts. The other Hannah,
Hannah's going to win, whether it's Waddingham or the other Hannah from Hacks.
Yeah, from Hacks.
Definitely going to be Hannah.
I buy it.
Tom and say it's Hannah.
That's a cop-out because there is so much love for Hacks's Hannah that I could see that pervade. I agree with you. I'm so happy that you began in this early part of the conversation, Pete, talking about Hacks, because I've always thought that is a much more serious threat at the Emmys than people are giving it credit for. It's about show business. It's so well done. When you start binge watching it, you can't stop. It's like, wow, what a show.
Well, the reason, Tom, you're talking so much about supporting in comedy without even talking about the leads is you and I and Jazz all know those are two locks, Jason Sudeikis and Gene Smart. There will be no other scenario that comes up.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Do you think anyone else, Jazz, can take it away from them?
No, unless the love for Saturday Night Live is so strong and we're just not clued in right now. I think it's between the two Hannahs. I think Hannah Waddingham wins. I changed from Hannah Einbinder and Hacks to Hannah Waddingham. Sorry.
Well, that's because you're one of the cool cats. So
I'm with the cool cats.
Please, could anybody beat Gene Smart or Jason?
Oh, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like this year's Catherine O'Hara. I mean, she's just this veteran who's just knocking it out of the park.
No, and Ted Lasso. So, what about drama series? Any way that Crown can lose?
If you look back over Emmy history, what we forget sometimes is that it takes a while sometimes to win Best Series. Like Game of Thrones, I think won on its 5th nomination. Friends won on its 5th nomination for Best Series and wasn't even nominated some years in between, if I'm right. So The Crown, I'm mentioning this because The Crown has lost 3 times before. But I think it's different this year because this Crown is more contemporary. This is about people we know and the Princess Di story, and it's both a love and a tragedy, and it's also brilliant. I think it is the best show by far. The question is how extensive will the suite be? Jazz, what say you?
Deep down, the sensible part of me says The Crown will do it. As you said, this is a season that people know. They know Princess Diana. Some of us, showing my age here, lived through this all. So it's almost like a trigger memory of watching that. But then I want to go out on a limb. I want to go out and say, I think Pose gets it. Shocker.
Wow.
Final season, their best season. Billy Porter, MJ, you know, they were everywhere. You know, FX did a great job of campaigning, as did Netflix on this. But I think, you know, if I were to be brave and daring, I would go for Pose. I think Billy gets lead actor.
I do too.
It's as if they want to make a statement. This is where they can do it. And they can make the statement here, maybe with MJ, who I have right now to win. It's whether I'm confident that it gets all three.
Yeah, you know, I am really torn in these two actor categories in drama series. Very torn. I don't know. I can absolutely see Billy Porter. He won the first year. He didn't win the second year. He comes back. He wins the third year. It's a little unusual, but it can happen. It's the last year. There's more focus on Pose now. They're back in the drama series race. And MJ's gotten all that publicity, and you know, their campaign make history. They are forcing Academy members to vote for this on another level of just acting. They are forcing them to vote on a social level, and they may well do that. It's a very effective campaign. It worked for 12 Years a Slave when they said it's time. That kind of campaign, I think, is good. And so it could work for her, definitely. And definitely work for Billy. Billy doesn't need as much of a push as her character would there. Everyone knows Billy, loves Billy and everything. She's a whole unique story in the Emmy history here. So does Emma Corrin, those Brits come in, you know, and able to take that away? I don't know.
The experts had Emma Corrin about a month or two ago, you know, just so far out in front, it looked like there was no challenger. MJ Rodriguez, by the way, Pete's right, that Billy's been nominated for the last 3 years. He won the first year, lost last year. He can rebound now. But the show was not nominated last year. It was 2 years ago. Now it's back in program, which helps. MJ now has 9 of our experts predicting her to win, and Emma Corrin has 20. So it's almost 2-1 still for Emma, but I think it's most of the experts may not have updated recently. I'm torn here too. I think because MJ has not been nominated in the past, has pushed me toward Emma as my official prediction, but I have always stuck at, I shouldn't say always, I think for a couple of weeks I was a coward and pushed Josh O'Connor up to the top where most people have him. But now the score among the experts is 16 for Josh and 11 for Billy. It's
well, you know, the question comes down to The Crown, which has the most nominations tied of any show here, is by far more watched probably than Pose may well be. You know, and whether that matters in the actors branch, which are the ones voting on acting, I don't know. What have they seen in bulk? And that'll be a telltale sign there too. Or how effective is that campaign?
Campaign was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
The staff.
See, my other question though is Handmaid's Tale, which is 21 nominations, didn't win anything in creatives. What is going to happen on Sunday with that? Like, we haven't mentioned it, right? None of us have picked anything yet. Is it going to go home empty-handed?
It has so many acting nominations. Again, you can't tell from the creative arts what the actors branch is going to do. It's got, what does it have in supporting actor, you know, in a drama series, like 3 or 4. So it's got the numbers, but it doesn't seem to have the momentum.
But Bradley Whitford is a favorite. He could actually pull off the win for them.
Sure, sneak it out, yeah.
Yeah, but if it wins none on Sunday, it sets a new record for the most losses for a single season. So, but that happened to Mad Men, and that happened to a couple other shows too.
Well, I have Max Mangella, but and Michael K. Williams' death did not influence the voting. We know that. But I think Michael K. Williams looks to win anyway. In analyzing it, seeing what the guest actor went to Glenn Turman, That means the actors branch has spoken on this category, this show, Lovecraft Country, and they gave an award already there. So I think a lot of people thought Michael K. Williams was going to win anyway. And so I have joined that camp, not because he died tragically, but because I think he was going to win.
Yeah.
That was going to happen. Yeah.
We have two, Jazz, we have two other strong contenders here. Michael K. Williams is way out front, according to the experts. I mean, way out front, 24 of them. But Tobias Menzies could ride the crown wave. And I think we've got to take seriously the nomination of Giancarlo Esposito in Mandalorian. He is a favorite among the actors and certainly among TV critics and the rest of it, who are always predicting him to win everything. He never wins. But here's a case of where it could matter. And then there's Bradley Whitford, who's got, 1,700 Emmys. And
John Lithgow, who reminded me, interviewed him, he's had 13 nominations and 6 wins. And John Lithgow is one of those, I love John Lithgow. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah. Whether they saw Perry Mason or not, it's like, I love John Lithgow, and that's lazy voting.
Yeah,
I don't know. I still have Michael K. Williams there. I do have Bradley second. I feel, his performance, and they love the show. I just don't know. And there's the Giancarlo effect. Like, he's never won. Is this where they do it? I just feel like Michael has the edge here.
I think so. And Lynn Turman's win convinced me.
Yeah, that solidifies it.
Now, Gillian Anderson has got the support of every single expert except one. I don't know who that is.
And that was Ingenue. Somebody went with Ingenue.
Yeah, for Lovecraft. So, but Gillian, she nailed Maggie Thatcher. And she's won before. Of course, she won for X-Files. And is there any possibility, do either of you think that Gillian can lose?
Yeah, if they split with anybody else in that show, but I don't think they will. I mean, what's her name that won the Oscar for Promising Young Woman in there? And she's not.
Yeah.
Emma
Farrell,
in rules for the crown in any acting category, I believe. But Ingenue Ellis, if there is that support for Lovecraft that happened during the voting, she could win because she benefits from being a single nomination there. So yeah, that one person, whoever it is at Gold Derby, may be onto something.
we have seen in recent, and we saw it at the Creative Arts, where you have multiple nominees competing. This didn't used to happen under the old system, but it does now, and that you could split the vote here with multiple nominees. So here's a case of where we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Handmaid's nominees, so that could split.
That's what I mean. Ingenue is there. And if anybody, unfortunately, they didn't see it, but if anybody had seen King Richard during voting, I mean, my God, she's totally going to be Oscar nominated for that. She's so good as the wife. She's good. Stuff's happening for her. But I don't know if it's enough. Gillian, she's so strong. She's so strong in that it seems really hard to beat.
Now let's talk about movie limited actor. This is fascinating. We have 16 votes for Paul Bettany with WandaVision and 13 for Hugh Grant, which is a real close race according to the experts anyway. I have at various times had Bettany. I think I even have Bettany right now. I have to double check. I don't even know. And Hugh Grant. I don't think they take Hugh Grant seriously as a dramatic actor. I don't know why, because of the romantic comedy. So I don't know.
They only have 2 nominations for The Undoing. They seem to have forgotten. He is there because the competition isn't as fierce in this category. I think he's lost the whole season to, what's his name from last year's Emmy show. So now he's not up against him. But he's going to lose again to Paul Bettany. Because Paul Bettany is doing every great icon from television sitcoms. And that show is a tribute to the golden age of television in its own way. And that's why it did so well. And it can cross over with different kinds of voters. Maybe the Actors Branch also saw Uncle Frank, which was nominated for television movie, but also starred Bettany in a terrific performance. So I think it's Bettany.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I feel like Hugh, I had Hugh Grant at the top once, but I feel like, you know, voters were unhappy with the way that show ended. They're not going to give it to him. I have Paul Bettany, but then I also wonder about Hamilton here. I wonder if they will just, what did it land, like 12 nominations? I feel like
acting.
Yeah.
Not one of them it should have had in these categories. I've just like written about this till I'm blue in the face. The Television Academy screwed this up. Not these actors who did these performances for the stage and were mostly Tony nominated 5 years ago, but the Television Academy nominating that show, Hamilton, in variety pre-recorded specials, but throwing them into acting because they don't know where else to put them.
Do you know they put the director in directing of a movie? So they put the show in variety. There is a category for variety special. So had they stayed consistent, they should have
didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't have done it. They should have created like you can sometimes do in the Academy. I was on the board. All you have to do is put special, you know, a special category. Do they deserve an Emmy or not here? And you can throw them in that, even if it's not created earlier in the year. I don't know.
Let me remind everyone of what happened at the Tony Awards, which was Leslie Odom beat Lin-Manuel Miranda, which was a fascinating surprise. Now they're up against each other again. Any thoughts?
I think in this case, I think Lin will be the stronger candidate. I could be, again, completely wrong.
Lazy voting.
Lazy voting. They'll be like Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's his Hamilton. But I have Paul to win. I just, you know, my flag here is Lin and Hamilton.
Well,
they just...
Hawk should have been nominated for the Good Lord Bird.
Yes, 100%.
You know, it was taken away from this dumb Hamilton move. And I guarantee you that the voters who are voting for Hamilton in general here didn't even watch the Disney Plus thing. They just remember seeing it on stage, maybe in New York, the original cast. It should not be here, and it is. But I think they're going to get wiped out in all 7 of those races because people have to realize that in the end. This wasn't even going to be a television. It was going to be a theatrical movie until the pandemic.
Supporting actress Catherine Hahn from WandaVision is way out front according to the experts, but I would say the reviewers of TV shows really like Julianne Nicholson the best. Here we have Jean Smart nominated again, and there's so much love for her that could come through. Keep going, Pete. So who wins supporting actress?
I think I'm sticking with Julianne Nicholson. I just think it's a performance. And you often see them actually go for that in 1 or 2 categories where they're not lazy voters, where they actually are pulling somebody out. Catherine Hahn is very much like, I think she's kind of shot, definitely, no question. But I think Julianne, in the end, I don't think Jean Smart here. I think since it's just the actors voting, they know they have that opportunity and may have already voted for her perhaps and when they get to this category. And so they say, let's spread it around. And actually, Julianne Nicholson had the scenes in that last episode. So, and it was widely seen. So I'm going to stick with that. Probably regret that I've abandoned Kate Winslet in this game because I was thinking all along the actors from that show are the ones that are going to triumph. And then Queen's Gambit wins everything else. But I still will stick to a lot of that theory.
I'm sticking with Catherine. I agree with everything you've said. Julianne, Jean Smart, they'll give her hacks. So either the people that really love Mare of Easttown will give it to Julianne, but I think Catherine edges through here.
She well could. I mean, it's close. Again, it's a close race to look at. Yeah.
Oops, I'm doing the wrong scroll. Evan Peters, I have him out front too. I think he won our Gold Derby Award. And there's Diggs from Hamilton is up against him, and the chap from I May Destroy You, Jazz. But I think there's just this Evan Peters love out there.
Absolutely. I think the love for Evan Peters is strong, and I think he gets this. I think I May Destroy You is coming in second, but I think it's Evans to lose.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
And then what else haven't we?
Well, I think you've got it. I didn't pay so close attention at the creative Emmys to make sure all the categories they did. Did they do the category with the Oscars and the Grammys yet?
No, because that being variety special, they put TV movie in the creative arts so they could make room for variety special, because it has the Friends reunion and Hamilton in one category, and they wanted that for maximum.
But they split variety special. Usually they'll throw one into creative arts, but apparently they didn't do that. The variety live, they're going to have both variety pre-recorded, which I think will go to Bo Burnham at this point.
Really? Wow, over Hamilton. Wow. Well, yeah. A lot of people are saying that. What's your argument?
And directing, and it's looking like that's playing out. And the others, Hamilton, again, those that vote probably are voting for the stage show. Wonderful West Wing reunion, terrific Friends reunion, but the reunions will probably lose out. Usually it goes to a comedy special. I think Dave Chappelle's in there. He always wins. But I think this time Bo Burnham has his finger on the pulse. I wanted to ask about the Oscars, because I think it's a travesty that they nominated that, and I'll again use the phrase lazy voting, because they always nominate the Oscars. Did they see the Oscars? It's terrible. So many mistakes, and such an insult to Anthony Hopkins at the end to throw that in because you think Chadwick Boseman's going to win. They didn't read my column the previous 2 weeks.
They're just doing what you're telling them to do.
Emmys, I'm just counting too. So I voted. I'll just tell you what I voted for. I voted for the inauguration special because it gave me a second chance to vote for Joe Biden.
I love that. Pete, you're a member of the writing branch, and I'd love your insight on this for limited series, because Queen's Gambit, we've got also winning directing after the creative arts sweep. But for limited, for movie, almost all of our predictors are going for I May Destroy You over Mare of Easttown, Queen's Gambit, and several nominations for WandaVision. What say you?
I voted in this category for Queen's Gambit. And I actually split my votes in this. I like them both so much, I sort of like split my ballot. But in the writing category, I said, how can you go against Frank? And the way that was done, it's really extraordinary. Taking that book and that never could get made, and then doing it so successfully, I just think that is deserving there. It's a very competitive category, so it could go any which way with the writers. And the writers are often on a different island than things. They look at things differently.
Do you think now that all the members of the writers branch are eligible to vote and may choose to pick that option, that that they had actually seen all of these nominations for this writing?
Yeah, what they've seen, but I think these are pretty high profile, and so my guess is they probably made an attempt to see them. I don't know if they've seen I May Destroy You, but that got nominated for everything, so I'm assuming they did. And I know they probably saw Queen's Gambit, and
they saw those things.
likely. Mare came in late in the game, so you know, you never know.
Jazz, why does everybody have I May Destroy You winning here when they're all on either the Gambit or?
I think those people on Gold Derby. Sorry, I'm in Starbucks, so you're
hearing the lattes being made in the back. Yeah.
I think that yeah, you know, I don't know. I think they're looking at I May Destroy You and saying she's up for everything. Let's give her something, and maybe
that's it.
That's where they're going to put it, you know, which is always a dangerous way to predict because you don't know because this is all done by branches. So
that is exactly that's what I think they're doing. I think they're like we've got to give it something. This is where we give it something. And I agree. Like Queen's Gambit, all of this is strong, but yeah. And I think to answer your question, Tom, I think that's why everybody has I May Destroy You at the top, because where else are they gonna award it?
Yeah.
I have Mayor of Easttown though.
Oh, you have it winning for that?
I went rogue. I've gone rogue on this.
I think that could win there too. I could just as easily vote for that, tell you the truth. But
do you know these awards we have of our own Gold Derby awards, which voted on by our user base, actually overlap very frequently with about 2/3 of the time with the Emmys. And Conan won Best Variety Talk Series at our awards by a sizable margin over John Oliver, who's been, of course, sweeping this category every year.
I voted for Conan.
Did you? So, all right, this is what it could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah, I voted for Conan because with his last year, I think he's been so great. Not that I watched the show religiously, I certainly didn't, but I like Conan a lot. And I said, this is his last shot. Wouldn't it be a great moment? And I'm so sick of John Oliver winning for doing a 40-minute show once a week, when so many of the people like Jimmy Kimmel and others have to do this nightly, The Daily Show, all of that. But I thought, look, I think it would be a nice moment. So I was just trying to contribute a little bit to that and give him a little boost. So he got my vote.
But you see, this is where lazy voting comes in. I reckon they're just going to stick with John Oliver and do that. I agree. Conan should win. The others are great, but they'll be like, yep, John Oliver, check, done.
Yeah, done. I know, exactly right.
For sketch series, we have only 2 nominees. We have Saturday Night Live and Black Lady Sketch Show, and the score among our experts is 6-2. Everybody hasn't voted here. But for Saturday Night Live, do you think, Jazz, there's any chance of an upset?
I know I have a Black Lady Sketch Show right now to win. I absolutely am going to change that back to Saturday Night Live. I think looking at the creatives, I just don't feel, look, they love this show. It made everybody laugh last year, and they're gonna give it.
Yeah, I even with just one show against it, that probably helped Saturday Night Live, maybe, because they could have split it between 5 shows, and it might have gotten fewer votes. But I do think the votes are there.
All right, Pete. I have to admit I have not seen the Bo Burnham special, so that is on top of my list to get done before Sunday. But let's talk about this variety special recorded category, where Hamilton seems to be way out in front according to our experts, but Bo Burnham gets a lot of votes, and it did very well at the Creative Arts. And then Dave Chappelle, as you mentioned, is almost an automatic winner every time he's nominated. And then we've got the Friends reunion. We have the West Wing special, and we have American Utopia.
Well, I voted for the West Wing special in this category because, again, I felt it's like a vote for Joe Biden. I really like Eric, and I really think that they did a beautiful job in bringing that back and producing that. I thought it was so well produced. So I voted for that. But there's a lot of ways you could go here. I wasn't going to vote for Hamilton. I just think that's not a television show. That was not meant to be, and whatever. It won all the Tonys. That's fine. It's not going to. I don't think it's going to win here unless they just check it off because it's Hamilton. We talked about that. A lot of good stuff. Bo Burnham, though, I mean, it seems.
Well, because I haven't seen it, tell me why everybody's on this Bo Burnham.
It's different. It's just very original, and it's kind of fascinating to watch. But it's different. And if anybody can take it away in that category from Dave Chappelle, it's him. And it's got the writers behind it and the directors behind it, and it needs the actors, and maybe it won't have them, but I don't know. But this is a tough one to call, and it could go any which way. You've got the Hamilton factor and all of this going on. I mean, Jazz, what do you think is going to win here?
I think Bo Burnham. I think it was, it's entertainment, and it's great. Just there's something you have to, Tom, I know you're going to watch it. It is fun. You have a smile on your face. It does what it says on the tin. I mean, I have the Oscars, but sorry, not forget that. No, I think, he's gonna take that. And I think if we look at the creative arts, what his 3 wins there, I think that's an indication that.
I do too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, until I watch Bo Burnham, I loved Hamilton. I saw the Broadway show. I think I was in.
You just answered my thing. I saw
Exactly. I know.
It's called the Emmy.
And I love Hamilton too. I love it. I mean, I saw it here when it opened at the Pantages the other week, and I thought, I wonder if Disney is taking Emmy voters here.
Absolutely.
It's perfect.
Absolutely.
If you want to get a vote, like this is like, it's not the same cost, but the feeling of being in the theater anyway. And I was like, I wonder if that's gonna get votes.
I got no notice from Disney to go see Hamilton for nothing during the voting period. So I don't think they're doing that.
Oh, wow.
It's an excellent idea that you should have been in that meeting much earlier with them, because that could have turned the tide for Hamilton.
So I think Bo gets it.
I took my 90-year-old aunt to see Hamilton, who I think, and I didn't tell her until 5 minutes before the curtain opened. Oh, by the way, this is a rat musical. Because she, what? Ah! A 90-year-old lady, just like, I hate rap. But she turned to me at the end of that show and she said, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen on a stage.
Yeah.
And I would agree with it, but I don't know if it translates over to a video experience.
People that put this together and the amount of time they had to do it when they were shooting it and had no idea what was going to happen with it, just to put a record there. They did a really good job in shooting a show off the stage. So, kudos to the ability that went into it.
Let's talk about Variety Special Live, because the nominees are Celebrating America, the Grammys, the Oscars, the Super Bowl halftime show, and Stephen Colbert's Election Night 2020. Did that get your vote, Pete? Because I
told you already, Celebrating America, I watched and I had seen, and I thought it was a really well-produced show. It was very good. Tom Hanks, all those people, Katy Perry did a beautiful number. It was spectacularly shot. If I'm going to vote for a Variety Special that's live, that's the one. It certainly isn't the Oscars, and
or the Grammys, right?
We're okay, but one of the producers of the Grammys was one of the producers of the Oscars, and I can't reward him. So it made it easy for me to go to Celebrating America.
Well, that's out front at Gold Derby, Celebrating America. Jazz?
But I have the Oscars because it won production design last weekend. I think it's lazy voting. I could be wrong. If I were a voter, though, I would go for Celebrating America. It was an incredible production. And that image of Katy Perry in front of the Lincoln Memorial was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we've covered most of the categories. What do you anticipate for the show? Because last year it was probably the only award show that actually got really a welcome response from most people. And it still only had 6 million viewers, but the previous year it only had 6 million viewers. So when it still had an audience. So What do you anticipate about the show itself?
I love Cedric the Entertainer. I think they're going to do some smart bits with him. I think the show's in very good hands. If I had a choice, if the Emmys were eligible for an Emmy, I would have voted for that show. I thought against all odds, they pulled it off, and nobody was able to duplicate it. They were first, and everything that came since with these award shows was minor by comparison. The only reason it's not there is because you can't nominate the Emmys. It's a rule they made years ago. I think
that's because, Chris, by the way, Pete, because when the Emmys were nominated, they always lost.
I think the producers of that show are producing again this year, and I have high hopes for what they do. The Academy is very stringent on the whole COVID-ness of it all. In fact, they even put out a note to the governors that they were rescinding the +1, that they can only go by themselves, and that they needed 19 more seats from them, and they offered them free tickets and governor's ball for next year, even if they're not on the board. So they are really limiting this just to the nominees. It'll be a different thing to watch, but you know, I have high hopes for the people producing the show.
Yeah, same. I think it'll be. Yeah, I mean, they set the bar last year. I think a lot of people will be tuning in again this year to see how they pull it off. And Cedric will definitely entertain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's it. We'll find out soon enough.
We will find out. But do you think there'll be any, final question, do you think there'll be any blowback if we just have this low-Z evading thing we keep talking about just happen again, where 3 shows just take everything? That it was up until the 1960s, they had a popular vote for all the contests. And what happened was, in those days, of course, they only had 3 networks. And so 2 of them pulled out because the other network, ABC and CBS, just pulled out of the Emmys completely and said, screw you, this is not fair, we're not winning. And it's a popular vote. And so that's when the Emmys and everybody collapsed. And that's when they brought in Rod Serling to be president of the Academy. So the father of Bizarre TV took over the Emmys and said, you know what? You can't vote anymore unless you've actually seen this stuff. And that's when they set up a panel system, and has given us a legacy that is very, very a proud one for the Emmys, because winning that award rescued some of the greatest shows in TV history, from All in the Family to Cheers and Cagney and Lacey. Remember
Hill Street Blues.
Hill Street Blues. The Amazing Race was about to be canceled by CBS until it won its first year. So there have been recent examples. But now I think that with a popular vote, which I just think this new voting is terrible.
And they're actually trying to infiltrate the membership with more popular people. I mean, not popular people, but people working on those popular shows. They've made a real effort in that regard, and that's why you see stuff like The Boys on Amazon, or all these kind of non-snobbish kind of shows, Mandalorian and WandaVision and others, really making inroads at the Emmys. And so they are making an effort to, actually make it more democratic and trying to get a different level of voter in. That's from what they told me they're doing. So, I think it's going in a direction you're not in favor of, Tom.
I think it'd be a good rule to actually see something before you.
You want to go back to the rooms at the Century Plaza?
I know.
There was one guy, I won't say who because he's now dead, that, I'm sitting in a room on one of those panels, and he goes, can't we just fast forward this? Can't we just fast forward this? And they would. And then I found him falling asleep when he didn't win on that point. But they did keep asking the officials. I remember this so well. At what point can we turn it off? And it wasn't the perfect system, by the way.
No, but when in the year 2000, they went to an honor system of, they kept the juries, it was just one episode, and they sent DVDs. You might only have 75 people voting for Best Comedy Actress, but for the most part, they did their job. Because they were,
and you had to sign the affidavit, each affidavit.
You had to sign the affidavit, and you were only eligible to vote in 4 categories. Two of your peer group your peer group, and 2 in your peer group, and 2 program awards.
Programs. Now you vote on, I think I voted on 20 program categories and 5 writing. And it's so simple. You just press this, boom, boom.
Uh-oh, Jazz, we lost.
He froze. Right in the middle of his thought.
Right in the middle of his thought. But so I will leave the final word to you, Jazz. How do you feel about this? Give us a final summary thought about this year's Emmys and the campaign and what it's all meant.
I think we are, as you've said, we are at risk of having the lazy voting and seeing 3 shows dominate and the same shows win, but who knows?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
There you
go. Tom, are you unfrozen?
You were frozen there for a while.
And you were frozen. I was only talking to myself in the end. You were all
okay. Well, all right, I'm looking. Then let's have you wrap everything up, Pete. Give us your final thoughts about the whole Emmy season, from how the campaigning played out until and all the way up to what our expectations are for the ceremony.
Well, I do think that everyone was energized. I think that's been an increasing thing year after year with the Emmys. That there's a lot of campaigning, even more than the Oscars, and even the broadcast networks, which clearly don't get the love anymore, are energized to be at least a part of it when they can be. Certainly NBC, I noticed, was. And then we actually didn't have them on the tally of creative arts winners. It was an oversight. And they said, please change that. We're tied with Apple. Can you imagine a scenario where a major network like NBC is thrilled to be tied with Apple?
This is their second eligibility year, Apple, but mostly those NBC vote wins and all that for Saturday Night Live. It's not.
I think it's a good campaign year. I think there are a lot of good shows, a lot to choose from, and I'm just sorry that the love is not spread around more.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, everybody, update your predictions at Gold Derby, including all of those you are watching or listening to the audio podcast version of this. We have some cliffhanger races here, and let's put it this way. We had thousands of people voting, predicting at the creative arts, and the winner had 62% correct. That's how hard the Emmys are this year to predict, even though we go, it's going to be easy. There are lots of surprises. So thank you both, and let's see what you think afterwards.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.